Hey everyone, it's Kevin Creighton with AmmoMan.com. I'm here with Jeff Street of Step by Step Gun Training, and today we're going to be talking about appendix carry. I'm out at the range today to try and talk about the differences between strong side carry, which is how I normally carry, and appendix carry, which is down the front here. Jeff, when I first met Jeff carried strong side like I do, and he recently switched, well, about what, two years ago? Yeah, 2 years ago, switched to appendix carry. So Jeff, why did you make the change?
Well, first of all, a lot of my students were already carrying appendix, so I should learn how to do that so I can better instruct them. Once I did switch and get a proper holster designed specifically for appendix carry, got it adjusted properly, it's so much more comfortable with strong side hip.
Really?
Yeah.
So even if you're not an instructor, it's something that you would recommend. Would you recommend that for everybody?
I would recommend that for everybody eventually.
Okay.
Now, me personally, when I'm teaching, I want to see that their fingers are not getting inside the trigger guard. That means their fingers when they're drawing.
Sure.
And so I always start people with an outside the waistband holster that I can see. Once I've got that discipline down, then it's fine to go to appendix carry. Once they've got that unconsciously competent, then appendix carry is actually safer because, or actually any concealed carry is somewhat safer, and that's because you've given the left hand a job to do.
Right, which is clearing your cover garment, getting out of the way.
Yes.
Right, we talked about that in the concealed carry draw
Yes.
stuff. Now, what did you personally find as far as your performance? Did it affect your performance at all?
I'm about immediately I was a half a second faster.
Now, you were already pretty good from the strong side. You've taken a lot of classes and you're a good instructor. But you found your draw time was reduced by a half a second.
Yes.
Do you think it's also maybe easier, like in a case now, fortunately, we're blessed that we've not had to draw our guns in anger, but have you found a position, where you might find that easier in a surreptitious or a place where you might be behind the curve on the draw? Would it be easier for you as well?
Absolutely. Number one, if I'm seated, it's still a good draw. Number two, if I'm at church as an usher, I can do the usher draw, where I've concealed the fact that I've pinched the garment.
Right.
If I'm in a parking lot, I am likely to have my hands up protecting my head. My one hand, if the adversary is at somewhat of a distance, I may tell them to back off. But once they get close enough that I'm potentially going to need to draw, my hands are going to be here. And I can go from here to draw very, very quickly.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Versus like me. Now, Jeff and I are both wearing blue guns. So me, if I'm here like, okay, don't want any problem, that's okay. I've got to move both my hands from there to there. It's the other thing is also, the fact of the matter is, if I move my hands here, there's only one thing that I'm doing right now, and that's clearing my cover garment and pulling out my blue gun here. So, or in the case of where I had to defend my life, a real gun. But you're saying, like with appendix carry, you're there.
Yeah.
It's a lot quicker and faster for you.
And the other interesting thing about appendix carry is people tend to think they grab the bottom hem of the garment.
Right.
Well, some garments have a longer hem than others. So you're reaching for something you don't know where it is.
Right.
So what we do instead is we reach for our belly button because it's always in the same place.
Right.
So I grab my belly button, draw, this hand slaps down, gets a good grip on the gun, and I go to work.
Okay. All right. Well, let's do some more examples of this and just see how you can safely carry at the appendix position. Okay, now Jeff, what are some of the techniques for a good, smooth, and efficient appendix inside the waistband draw? And also, what are some of the tips maybe about carrying comfortably an appendix at the waistband?
Of course, you have to get a holster that's specifically designed for appendix inside the waistband carry. You also have to adjust it. You have to give yourself time to figure out exactly how you adjust all the different adjustments on the holster to where it fits you the most comfortably, whether you're standing, sitting, whatever.
Now, one thing I've heard from other people who carry appendix inside the waistband is, and I think it might mimic your experience as well, it's actually more comfortable to carry a longer gun inside the waistband at the appendix position than it would be like where I normally carry on the side. Have you found that to be true?
Absolutely. When I first started carrying, I was carrying a holster made for a Glock 34, which was very, very comfortable. I went all the way to Louisiana and back carrying that holster in the car, sitting down, it's fine. The only thing that particular holster had a problem with was if I was bending down to pick a piece of brass up off the ground. Once in a great while, I'd have a little pinch.
Ouch.
Right now, I'm carrying a Glock 17 holster. And the Glock 17 holster, even if I was going to carry a Glock 26, I would still use this Glock 17 holster.
It fits your body better there.
Yes.
Now, another thing I've heard from people who carry, our friend Spencer Keepers of Keepers Concealment, who makes great holsters, by the way. He didn't pay me for that plug. I just like him. He mentioned to me that you really need to stop lying about your waist size, which is, it can't be a problem for us guys. Like, I've worn size 34 pants for a long time, and the fact of the matter is I'm not size 34 anymore. It's just the painful truth. I can kind of get away with it when I'm carrying inside the waistband here. Appendix inside the waistband, though, because of where everything's positioned there, you really can't lie to yourself. You've got to accept the fact you might be a little bit bigger than you really are.
Well, you need the extra room for the gun.
Right. Right. And there's some people like that, maybe you have surgery, hernia surgery, stuff like that. It's just not going to work for you because of how things have changed there because of surgeries and stuff. That's cool. But now to draw and to practice from this, how do you recommend people practice and how do you recommend the draw?
At home, practice with a blue gun. Out on the range, you can use your live gun or even your empty live gun.
Right.
When we draw, we're basically two positions I teach mostly. One is the usher position, where you're covering the fact that you're pinching your own garment with your hand.
Right.
And that is simply you pull the garment up, your hand goes right to the gun. Very simple. The other is, of course, if I was in a parking lot and someone was approaching me and they were threatening my life, my hands are likely going to be up protecting my head.
Yep.
And from there, I'm going to grab the garment at my belly button because garments are always different lengths. You never know how long the garment is that you're wearing on that given day. So we don't grab the hem of the garment. We grab right where our belly button is because it's always there. And we're back on it. And we don't have to lift this garment up over our head.
Right.
Just high enough to get to the gun.
Now, reholstering. When I reholster, when I'm carrying inside the waistband here, this is something I learned at a AmmoMan class, was you kind of want to, and some people say, well, you don't want to look your gun back in your holster because the threat might still be active. I say if the battle started when I saw a threat, the battle's over when that threat is done and it's taken care of. So if there's no longer a threat, why do I have my gun out? Anyway, so typically when I reholster from the 3 o'clock position here, I will take a conscious step that way, get my feet aligned straight with each other, and I kind of kick my right hip outwards. So as I'm taking my gun and I'm looking it back into the holster, if something goes wrong here, if somehow a piece of clothing gets caught in here and it goes bang, it's just going to land in that area somewhere. It's not going to put a groove in my thigh here. That would hurt. So is that kind of the same concept with appendix inside the waistband carrying?
Absolutely. So I've drawn my gun, I've done the work I need to do, get it back in the holster. I'm going to lean out with my pelvis. And then I'm going to watch the gun into the holster. I'm going to holster very, very slowly. So I would feel that resistance that you talked about earlier.
Right, yeah. So, we don't plan on it. We're very careful with what we wear and how we reholster, but accidents happen. We want to make sure, oh, wait, it's not going in as quickly as I thought it should. Oh, bad idea. You've all felt that experience. The trick is to make sure that doesn't result in a bang. That's where the rules of gun safety is. You always want to make sure that the gun's pointed in a safe direction and nothing's inside there that might make the gun go bang when you don't want it to. Same true with me carrying on the waistband here, true with him carrying at the appendix position. So it can be done safely. You're not going to be, you don't worry on a daily basis, oh no, it might go off and, poke a hole in something very near and dear to me.
Not at all.
Not at all. So it's done safely, done correctly, and it looks like it'll save you a little bit of time on your draw, which is never really a bad thing. So Jeff, I want to thank you for this demo. I really appreciate it. Might want to look at it in the upcoming year. I know I am going to probably look at switching over to appendix inside the waistband. Might be something for you as well. As always, stay safe, have fun, and we'll see you on the range.